All right, welcome to another edition of Weather and Climate Chat with Monsoon Mike and Dr. Michael Davis. Dr. Davis, how are you?
It's good to be back.
Yeah, we apologize for not being here last week. I'll take all the blame for that. That was my fault. My schedule's just been kind of crazy on Fridays. In fact, Dr. Davis and I were discussing off the air. Stay tuned, folks, but we're considering moving these podcasts to releasing them on Monday instead of Fridays in the future, and that way we can give you a week ahead, and Mondays are a little less crazy for me. But we don't want to miss 2 weeks in a row, so that's why I pushed to find some time to do it today. So I know you're busy as well too, Dr. Davis. So
the weather never stops.
The weather
so
never stops.
Can't stop.
Yeah, we can't stop. And the past couple of weeks were rather interesting. I mean, we won't rehash everything that happened the past 2 weeks because most people have short attention spans. But we will quickly rehash this past week. It was an interesting week because we started off extremely cold. My low temperature in Auburn was 3. That was my low of the weekend. And then the very next day, we had a snow to ice to rain situation.
Yeah, we had a whole mixed bag of precipitation that mainly happened because low was moving to our west.
Right.
So we were in the warm side of the storm as opposed to the cold side.
I was getting some messages on my Facebook page. Monsoon Mike, you're full of baloney. How can we go from 3 to an all-out rainstorm? And I said, you watch, it'll happen. And it happened. In fact, I made it to 52 that day. So that's almost a 50-degree spread in a couple days. So crazy stuff.
Yeah, the GFS model is showing a very strong vorticity axis going right into central Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I believe that was Wednesday, and like central Pennsylvania, western New York got 6-8 inches of snow.
They did fairly well with snow. Now, what was interesting about that storm is actually some areas to our south overperformed a little bit. I saw some areas of Virginia and Maryland got 6-8 inches, which they really weren't quite expecting. They were thinking more in the way of like 1 to 3 before the switch over. So what happened there?
You just had more of, I think, of the cold air wrapping around the low.
Okay.
So you had that cold air influencing the precipitation, and then you have the more higher elevation areas of, say, Virginia and Maryland that had the higher potential for the snowfall.
And then Tuesday night was an all-out mess. My weather radio woke me up at 11 o'clock because the weather service in my county upgraded to a winter storm warning because of ice. Tuesday night was bad. Fortunately, I didn't have to go anywhere, so I didn't care.
Yeah, and it melted pretty quick.
It did. I mean, it was amazing because as bad as it was during the overnight hours, when I woke up at 7 o'clock, I looked at the thermometer, it was 46 degrees. So in that 2 or 3 hour frame from, say, 5 in the morning to 8, we shot up like 15 degrees.
Yeah, I believe at my location, I was at 28 when I went to bed, and I woke up and it was 46. So.
There you go. So pretty similar case to me.
Yeah.
So
that's what you get with the warm front coming in from the south.
So definitely wild. And then it cooled off at the end of this week. Now, looking ahead at the coming days, the coming weekend, and next week, kind of a convoluted bunch of things coming. One thing at a time. First of all, tonight looks like a little low-pressure system zips by and could drop a rain, snow, or sleet shower.
Yeah, we have a very slight chance of some snow potentially tonight, but the uplift doesn't really look that favorable.
Okay.
So I wouldn't really bet on it.
I see the Weather Service has us in a 20% chance, so it's like a 2 in 10 chance. That's about right. Yeah. So, and then tomorrow looks fairly benign, partly sunny. Cool. I'm not cool. Tomorrow's going to be pretty warm, mid-50s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have the 50s returning for the weekend.
Yeah.
We have the high pressure kind of taking hold. We're going to have a really weak low pressure system skirting down the southern areas of Canada. Mm-hmm. And that cold front should be passing Saturday night. The temperatures only be knocked down a couple degrees, though. But then that front looks like it's going to stall out pretty much over the ocean. Right. Which will set the stage for Monday and a Tuesday of next week.
And let's go right into Monday or Tuesday. Already some sources getting a little hypey about, another big blizzard, another big snowstorm. I'm far from jumping on that bandwagon yet.
Likewise.
Likewise. Yeah. And some of the models that have come through the past couple of days have been somewhat impressive, but then the very next run back off. Euro, CMC, GFS, my 3 favorite to look at this far out. Probably your 3 favorite to look at this far out too. Kind of all disagreeing at this point. Euro actually was the slightly snowier one yesterday, I noticed, and GFS was middle ground, and CMC was the rainier one. What do you think happens with this storm?
I think we're going to probably get more in the way of some rain-snow mix.
Yeah, another sloppy mix.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely sold it's going to impact us. I think
Really?
it's going to stay further out to sea.
I saw some out to sea solutions as well too.
I just have a feeling it's going to go further out. It all depends on where that front actually sets up. Low pressure systems are pretty much like trains on a railroad track. They will just follow that front if it stalls out. So if it stalls out closer to shore, then we're going to be in some trouble for some precipitation. If it goes further out to sea, we may avoid the whole thing entirely.
And you think that's possibly more likely than not?
At this stage, I think so.
And why is that?
I don't know. I just feel like the front may have enough oomph to get off the
to just push it
coast.
Out. Okay. Well, stay tuned, obviously.
Maybe I'm just being optimistic, too.
Well, it depends if you're optimistic or pessimistic. It depends if you want snow or not.
Yeah.
Do you want more snow, bad weather? I don't know.
We already had our average.
Me too. I'm satisfied. By the way, our poor friends up in Scranton that were complaining that they didn't get much, they've gotten a little more. I think I heard that their total is now up to 11 inches, which is still far below normal. So it's us in areas south that are at or above, and those people are still low. But we'll see. Maybe they'll get a little more out of this one and finally get their due. I don't know.
Yeah. We're just about at average.
We're at average
for precipitation.
And I think Philly's a little above average.
And I'm trying to find the data right now because the National Weather Service recently posted where everyone's snowfall total was for the past winter so far. Like Erie, for example, has received 63.5 inches.
And how's that compared to normal?
76.7. So
they're
about
low.
13 inches below.
Yeah.
Other areas around us, Harrisburg, they are 17 inches roughly above average.
Above. Mm-hmm. And most of that coming through the one storm in January.
Well, this is depending on right now, so we haven't gotten to our full average yet. And Allentown, they're about 13 inches above normal. Baltimore, just to our south, they've had 32.6 inches of snow. They average about 15.2.
I keep quoting Wilkes-Barre and Scranton. Are they on your list there? Because they'd be below. I'm pretty sure about that.
They've received 11.4 inches so far this winter, and they averaged 29.9.
So they're well below average.
So about 18 inches below.
So how screwed up is that? That Allentown, Philadelphia, Washington are well either at or above, and Scranton's well below. Interesting.
And Cleveland, my hometown, 20.5 inches so far this winter.
That's way below. I would
46.
I was going to say that
so
sounds
they are
way
about
below.
2 feet below normal.
So the moral of this winter is all the spots that you would normally think would have all the snow, like Erie, Cleveland, and Scranton, are below, and all the places that would have less, like Philly and Washington, are above.
Yeah. It seems like all that snow is migrated toward the east.
Pretty wild winter. But we kind of figured it was going to be, we didn't know how it was going to be a wild winter, but we knew it was going to be wild and strange somehow. And it definitely has turned out that way. All right, so there you have it, folks, with our prognostication. Maybe a rain or snow shower tonight. Maybe another rain or snow shower later Sunday. We watch next week, but you're going with the odds of thinking it's not going to be much of an impact.
I think it's going to be a minimum impact if we do
I would tend to agree. I would say either minimum or moderate at most, nothing major like some people are hyping. So,
I wouldn't buy into that. The temperatures look like they're going to drop a little bit.
Yeah, the temperatures will be marginal.
30s,
They'll be marginal.
Upper 40s. The Climate Prediction Center has the next 2 weeks for us being below average for temperature-wise. Although, interestingly enough, they're calling for a warmer than average March.
Okay.
And then a warmer than average March, April, May.
I suppose you and I are going to have to put our heads together and finally, within the next couple of weeks, come out with a spring outlook of sorts, since our friends at AccuWeather have already had one out for a while.
Meteorological spring starts
in March.
March 1st.
March 1st. So I think maybe next week we should get ready for our spring outlook. Or the week after, and we'll see where that goes. Because AccuWeather's had theirs out for about a month already, and I think they have us down for an early spring. So there you go.
That's what the groundhog said.
That's what the groundhog said. So, yeah, everybody's bashed on the groundhog. But I'm like, well, he just said, it's not really spring until March, so give him a break. As long, we'll see.
It's February. February, it's going to be tumultuous.
Just because he said it's, not that I believe the groundhog, but just because he said it's going to be early spring doesn't mean February 4th was right away going to be 70 degrees. So.
Yeah, it's not an instant spring.
Yeah.
It comes on.
Cut the poor groundhog some slack. I mean, I tell you, people are rough. Like, we know that. It's a tough
Just deal with Bill Murray, for Pete's sake.
It's right. It's a tough business. It's a tough business. You can never win. All right, what's our topic of the day? We haven't done this for 2 weeks, so some big stuff hit the fan in Washington in the past couple of weeks. Tell us about it, Dr. Davis.
Well, at the Paris Climate Conference in the end of last year.
Right.
257 some odd nations came together to essentially say we will do our best to find a way to curb greenhouse gas emissions.
Right.
The United States was one of them. And it was just found out 2 weeks ago now that the Supreme Court has essentially halted the Clean Power Plan Act in order for the lower courts, the Court of Appeals, to actually hear whether the EPA overstepped their boundaries. Mm-hmm. Essentially what this is a catastrophic, I'm going to say that word in that meaning, toward the Obama plan for Paris Climate Conference, the Paris Climate Agreement, that is, in which that we are not going to be implementing our 1/3 cutback of emissions from coal-powered new electrical plants.
Right.
So in this case, we're actually slowing it down. So whether or not we're going to be able to meet our pledge, that's going to be up in the air right now. And there's some talk out there about whether the whole agreement may just fall apart because the U.S. is no longer going to be able to meet their pledge.
Right.
And then you get rhetoric from the Republicans saying that if I'm elected to office, this will be the first thing I veto or something along those lines.
Sure.
And to which case the United States would then join countries such as Venezuela, North Korea, Iran, Syria that have not okayed the Paris Climate Conference. So now all of a sudden you seem to be going along with them, and you already have some harsh rhetoric toward those particular countries. So you're putting us in the same boat as that.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, a week after that ruling, Justice Scalia passed away. So that would have been the tie-breaking vote, and that was one of the last votes he actually cast. So whether or not the Court of Appeals actually reviews it and comes up with that and sends it back to the Supreme Court and potentially has a tie vote again, then we might be stuck at square one.
Wow. So that is pretty catastrophic, if you ask me. Yeah.
Yeah, because now the United States pretty much is taking on this blame of, okay, now it doesn't appear that you're serious about your
You're
pledge.
cooperating, yeah.
So we are just going to go on without you, or we need you to actually come along in some fashion because you are a world leader. You are one of the main contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. We need you to help us out. And I think withdrawing from the accord that some Republicans have been mentioning is a serious problem, and I certainly would not want that. I feel like that would put more of a diplomatic black eye for the United States.
Sure.
As we are not seen as a cooperative nation
Right.
that want to come together and in forming this coalition to combat or mitigate climate change. I think this new president should definitely consider the ramifications of what the actions are.
Yep.
And whether or not the United States can suffer on an international stage if we essentially want to play by our own rules.
It wouldn't be the first time the United States is seen as uncooperative.
Yes, and probably, unfortunately, not the last.
Yeah, so that we've always got to throw some kind of monkey wrench into the situation, I'll tell you. So is there anything that we as the common citizen, people listening, can do at this point? Sometimes we just, as the common citizen, feel helpless in these situations. Is this the type of thing that we can call our politicians about, or rally around Washington about?
I would certainly say contact your politicians, make your voices heard, and make your stance on climate change, and that we feel like we need to take steps to ensure the safety and health of our planet.
Sounds fair enough. I don't think you could say it in any other way.
Because seriously, if we do not have a planet,
there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean who cares about your economy or your jobs? If you don't have a home and a planet to live on,
there's nothing. Yeah,
it's all a moot point.
Yeah, no, you're right. We all got caught on all these other issues, and really all of that doesn't exist without a planet to even have those issues on. So.
And there is no planet B.
No, there's not. No, I mean
It's not like we can just pack up and go to another planet.
Yeah, I mean we get all excited when we find another potentially livable planet, but it's not like we can just pack our suitcase and fly there one day.
It's several light years away, if
Yeah,
not more.
yeah, I don't think we'd get there overnight. So
Exactly.
call up a Motel
Good
6
planets
and-
are
yeah.
hard to find.
Yeah, so. Okay, well, that's kind of some heavy information there from Dr. Davis, but hopefully that motivates us to rally behind our politicians and get that rolling, or let them know where we stand on climate change.
Most of the country, I think, is starting to come around
I think
to
so, too.
climate change.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting because some of the Republican candidates are starting to
They're
kind
coming
of
around.
warm up
Some of them
a
are
little
coming
bit to
around.
climate change, maybe going against party lines in some fashion. I mean, they're not going to full out say that climate change is happening, but they seem to be at least thawing
Yeah,
to the idea.
they're, no pun intended, thawing to the idea. Nice pun there, Dr. Davis. You're prepared today. All right, well, good topic there, Dr. Davis. Thank you so much. Filled 15 minutes. That seems perfect. So once again, fairly decent weather, nice temperatures tomorrow, Saturday in the 50s, and then we'll watch what that storm does next week. And right now we're leaning toward minimal to moderate at most impact, if that. But keep on our pages, Monsoon Mike's Weather Headquarters, and
Dr. Michael Davis's weather forecast.
yep, and we'll keep you posted. All right, see you next week.
See ya.